Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here, and welcome to Vlogtober week 2. So this was actually the day that John's parents left in the morning. Since I get up so early, usually I just get back in bed, but since John was in there, Marley and I just came down on the couch. But we had a great visit with them, but they did leave at like around 8 in the morning because they had a long drive ahead of them. And then John started work at 8 as well. And I just started to clean up after that. So John had actually, it's like a vintage mixer that we sold. So he had put that on the floor. But John and his mom like to play Yahtzee. So they were playing that the night before. So I cleaned that up, and then I really just focused on the main level in the morning. So I got all of that done. And then I'm just making us a really like lazy meal that day. So I have this like macaroni shells, and I was making some corn. I made some broccoli, and we had some it's like breaded tofu is what I had, and John had breaded it's made from wheat gluten, but basically it's to mimic chicken. And I just had that in the freezer from the meal prep I did a few weeks ago, so we just had that for lunch. And then Marley and I were having a little rest on the couch together. So then after we ate and had a little rest, I actually fed Marley just on top of the dresser. But then I wanted to clean upstairs, so we told his parents that they didn't have to make the bed because we were gonna like wash the sheets and stuff, but his mom probably did that anyway. So I was gonna wash the sheets in there and like change them. I was gonna put Marley's little TV back in John's room. I was gonna do a load of laundry as well, and I felt like I needed another coffee on this day. I rarely ever drink more than 2 coffees, but occasionally it feels necessary. I still didn't have the big chair moved back upstairs at this point, so but I decided to light this candle while I was up there cleaning. It's very festive. I had a smaller candle. This is actually the same scent as the one I just lit. I thought that it was completely burned out, but I realized that I could still burn it for a little more, so I just put this one in John's room and lit it. So there wasn't like conflicting scents. It all smelled the same, but I'm saving all of my candle jars because I kind of want to start making my own candles. But then I came in after I got everything done and saw Marley like this, and it's so adorable. This is like the energy I was feeling as well. Like, I'm very introverted, and so is she, and we had just spent the whole weekend with people, and we're just not used to that, and I thought it was so cute. So on this night, John, he like bowls, like in a bowling league, so he had bowling that night, so Marley and I were just chilling in here, and I could tell she just ate because she's washing her face, which is one of my favorite animal things, like not just cats, but like when any animal is washing their face, it's so cute. So I had just given her some food in there because I think she like never asks for food. I have to like bring it right to her in order for her to eat. It's weird. It's very like non-cat behavior. But we just chilled. I'm assuming I probably watched a movie or maybe some General Hospital or something. I do remember being really tired that day. So now it's the next day, and little Miss Marley and I are just hanging out in here. This is what we do every morning, but I did it for an extra long time this morning because she had to go to the vet that day. Of course, she has no idea until we're picking her up and carrying her downstairs and putting her in her little carrier. So she had to go for her like steroid shot because she has allergies. So John took her to the vet. I like to try and keep myself busy during the time when she's at the vet because I have a big anxiety about like something being wrong with her. So it's just, I don't know, ever since our other cat passed away, I feel like I've just been traumatized and it's never gone away. So I try to keep busy. So I got all of this produce, and more than this, like 5 pounds of potatoes and some apples, all for just $5. So I was gonna prep that, and then John had bought her like some salmon because she likes salmon cat food, and sometimes we give her tuna if she's being fussy. So he was like, oh, we should get her some salmon and see if she likes it. So I got it ready while she was gone to the vet, and she usually runs upstairs as soon as she gets home. So I put it on the stairs. I wasn't sure if she would stop and eat it or if she'd just keep running, but she did end up eating some. She really liked it, actually. So that was cute, and everything was fine with her. So I finished doing all of the prep that I wanted to do, and then again on this day, having coffee in the afternoon. I don't know what it is. I also think it's because of the weather, because it's been like feeling a little cooler and it just feels like a cozy drink. Most of the time I have tea, but just sometimes I just really feel like coffee. So I was doing some laundry, I think, on this day, but usually in the afternoons I just sort of take a little break. I was having a salad, I guess, watching some General Hospital. And then after I was done eating, while John's parents were here, I had started to make a tissue box cover for a tissue box. So I was just going to work on that. That's usually what I do. And at this point, Marley had forgiven us for taking her to the vet. No, she's actually like fairly good. John actually said she didn't cry at all on the way home. It's about a 25 minute drive, so it's a little bit of a hike. So for dinner that night, I was craving pasta so bad. I think because of the weather, I just wanted like a nice bowl of pasta. So I just kind of made like a pretty quick lazy-ish. I used like a jar of sauce already made. Just did some pepper and onion and garlic in a let that saute, added the sauce. I had some leftover sausage that I added to it, and I just added some cream to make it like a rosé pasta. It was incredible. It was like everything that I hoped it would be, even though it was kind of just a lazy thrown together meal. And then I had enough sauce left to use for, something else. And then later that night, I did have a cup of tea, and then John and I split this like plant-based chocolate bar, which was very good. I don't think the brand Cadbury is in the United States, but it's like in the UK and Canada. It's very good. And then it was time for me to go to bed. Marley was already ready. When I came upstairs, she was already in position. I did have a basket of clothes, though, that I had done that I was going to fold, and I probably watched an episode of General Hospital before bed. So the next morning, I don't know why I just decided to do this right away, or maybe I meant to do it the day before, but I had brought up the super glue. I had this pair of earrings that I love, but they had broke, so I'd been meaning to fix them for quite some time. And I've got my list pad in action again because I felt like I had a lot to do. I actually feel like I have a lot to do all the time during the holidays. I'm already thinking about all the stuff I need to do for Christmas, even though it's not even Halloween. But I like to be organized so that I don't feel as overwhelmed. So I guess it works to a certain degree. But now, on this day, I did want to finish. As you can see, we moved the chair upstairs, and then I wanted to get out the big vacuum and vacuum the rug, and then I opened this door back up now that the chair was gone, because Marley likes to go through that way. She really didn't like that door was closed, so the dining room was already clean from the other day, so didn't have to worry about that at all. I think maybe I was going to wash the floors. That's why I was pointing. Yeah, so I think I had mentioned that I got a Swiffer when I wasn't feeling well because it's just easier to clean the floor. Normally I do it by hand, and it's just a lot, especially if you're not feeling well. So John got these. They were the only kind they had in the store when we got it, and they're gain scented. And I am not the biggest fan of these. I'm glad they're almost gone because the smell is so strong and it stays for such a long time. I mean, I guess some people like when their house is scented, so I guess maybe that's why, but it's really intense. It's like, I feel like it's 2 or 3 days later and I can still smell it, so I will not be buying those again. I am happier to have this quick and easy option though, but I will say that the floors don't feel like as clean as like when I do them by hand. So anyway, then I went upstairs. Marley's been sleeping on the bed a lot because I have her whole situation messed up. But John had brought the chair up, so I got that set back up. And then I had washed the sheets the day before. And then it was raining, I think, so I didn't hang them outside. So I just hung them over the door. So I was going to get all of those put away as well. The bad part about us both having the same sheet is I think I did end up looking at the tag and seeing like that it's labeled on the tag. But I was thinking, oh, I'm just going to keep getting it mixed up, and because we have different size beds. So anyway, I got her whole situation set back up for her, which she was very happy about. Then I had to get to the dreaded fitted sheet folding. Actually, I'm not too bad at it, but I got all of that done and got the bed made and stuff, and it was only 11 o'clock, which is nice. Ideally, my goal would be to get like everything I need to get done like by noon-ish. And then I just have the whole rest of the day to, I don't know, do whatever. But Marley was really enjoying the bed this day. I came in and she's so cute. She really likes propping her head up, so she gets in a lot of really cute positions. But once I got the upstairs all situated, I finished the floors down here. I was able to check basically everything off of my list that day, which I'm not super like strict about. Like if I don't get something done, I will just move it to the next day unless it like had to be done. But the only thing left that I wanted to do was straighten away the like mini grocery store downstairs. So I guess I'm showing that I got another piece done on the tissue box cover. This is something I really like doing while I'm watching TV, because you don't have to pay that close attention to it, or at least I don't. You can like really barely look at it and be able to do it. I still haven't done the latch hook rug thing, which was my plan to do. It had instructions, but I feel like I need to like watch a video to like watch someone else do it. But I was having a salad that day for lunch, and I just made John a grilled cheese and some vegetables. And then once we were done eating, I wanted to fry up the it's like hamburger but vegan I was gonna make tacos that night, so I just wanted to get that all done because John had a meeting later that afternoon and he didn't know how long it would be. So I wanted to get this done ahead of time in case the meeting like cut into the time when I'd be making dinner, if that makes sense. His office is right below the kitchen, so. But I'm just using my homemade taco sauce, and we like to mix like beans in with it, so it's like beans and that. So I got that done, and then I figured we could just heat it up after. So I got all that done, and then I think his meeting was at 2. So I went downstairs, and I thought, well, I'll just work until 2 and see how much I can get put away. We had just got a whole bunch of stuff that needs to be put away, so I did that. I did actually film that, but I thought I would just maybe make a separate video for the grocery store, because a lot of people ask about it, and then that way I can just like people ask if I've shown it before, so that way I can just, direct them to that video anytime anybody asks about it, which is usually always when I bring it up. So maybe I will do that soon, like maybe in the next couple weeks. But I did have some things there that I had to bring upstairs that I needed to refill, so that's what that was. That's what I was showing that was on the freezer. Anyway, we've been watching a movie like every night when we eat dinner. So we've been watching a lot of creepy cinema. I don't remember what this movie was, but creepy cinema is a thing on Turner Classic Movies that they do every year. I had still had some from last year recorded, but it's with Ben and Mario, who I love, and I love them together. Like it's been like the highlight of my October because we've been watching the new, like this year and last year's, and we've been watching a lot of movies that we haven't seen before, so it's been very exciting and super enjoyable, and I really hope they do it again next year. So it's the next day, and it was actually like a really rainy and gloomy day. So I had some cleaning I wanted to do. I had some dishes from the previous night that I didn't do, and so I'm having another coffee. I think I'd already had 2 coffees, but it's probably around 10 or so, which I usually have them before that. But I don't know, it's like the raininess just made me want coffee, but I did end up deciding to just go with a decaf instead of having more caffeine. Which the reason why I wanted the coffee had nothing to do with caffeine. It generally never does anymore. It's really just about having a coffee, so decaf does the same thing, really. Or tea to a certain degree. It's really just about having a hot beverage. Today I was planning to do a little bit of a stock up day, so I keep this pitcher of water next to the Keurig because ours is the kind that doesn't hold water, which I actually prefer. So I usually like fill that up, but then I'll fill the sugar if it needs to get filled, which it did. And my stevia did not. But I had a bunch of things that we had bought the night before, I think, to refill in the baking cabinet, which I think I've shown the baking cabinet before, but this white stand, I think it's supposed to be a microwave stand, but I don't have a microwave. So before I got started, I ran downstairs and just did a little bit of a quick tidy of the basement, because usually we're too tired after like watching the movie. Like I just go upstairs usually and like go to bed soon after. But so I was like, well, let me get the basement straightened away and then grab anything else I need. Then I can start filling stuff up. I'm trying to get everything, like if I notice a baking thing on sale or something, I'm trying to like stock up for baking season. So I've got these white chocolate chips, and I needed regular chocolate chips, and just a bunch of stuff. So I've been like trying to do that, but this is where I keep all of my baking things, and then all of my cookbooks are on the top part. So I was like, I really need to do a deep dive, and then I realized that I needed to get this corn syrup to the front. If any of you were here last year, you remember that I thought I had some, but I couldn't find it, so I had to use something else, which worked out fine, but then I found the corn syrup after. So I need to get that used up because it's been in there for at least 2 years. So I don't normally use corn syrup, but it was for a vintage recipe. So, but yeah, I just try to have like a big variety of things. If you've seen this before, you'll know that I have a lot of different flours and a lot of different sugars in here. When I want to bake something, I like just having everything that I need, because if you're not familiar, like we don't live where there's a store. Like to get to a store would be like 15 minutes, and those are like small stores, so they're not very well stocked, I guess you could say. So especially not for a lot of the ingredients that I want to use. So I've been trying to get stocked up on everything so that I don't have to worry about trying to track things down later. I think that was an old list that I made that no longer applied, but this is what I'm meaning when I'm talking about being organized, like things like this, just going through everything and making sure I have everything. I've got some gluten-free Bisquick, which I was actually able to locate more of that recently. These 2 jars are ingredients that I used to make like my own white chocolate, but I haven't done it in a long time because I've been able to find those white chocolate chips now. But I think I'm going to make some to get those things used up. And then while I was looking in here, I noticed that I had some candy canes on top. I need to get a jar for the Quaker like quick oats. I didn't have one for that, but I've got wheat bran and then I've got oat bran. And then my coconut sugar was almost empty because it's the one I use the most. But I do have a ton of date sugar, so I really need to start using the date sugar as well. But then I realized there is the freaking shortening that I thought I had that made me not make the tea biscuits and use the Bisquick, and then the Bisquick ones didn't end up turning out. So I need to, usually I would never keep it up there, so I must have just been moving stuff around and it got set up there, and then you can't really see it unless you really get down and look in. So, and then down on the bottom is mostly just different kinds of flour. And then I do keep like a big thing of white sugar and a big thing of brown sugar, because those are like two of the most common, like for baking. And I do have a big jar of rolled oats, and all these jars are just jars I'm reusing. The really, really big ones, I used to work in the restaurant industry, and I would just take them home from there, like, because they would just throw them away. So I would just always ask if I could take them. So I've had them for, I don't know, probably like a decade or longer. And then I just reuse my own. So I did find one that had, like I had already, you can like clean it out with baking soda and it will get rid of the smells. So I already had one. So that can serve for the quick oats. I usually buy like all the same containers to be able to reuse them. But then I wanted to restock my pasta situation. I also have like a ton of different kinds of pasta, even though we rarely eat pasta. But we have gluten-free pasta and then like regular pasta if John wants to eat that. He's usually fine with eating the gluten-free. And then I also found, if you were here last year, some of you might remember I bought this like harvest shaped pasta and I never ended up using it, and then I forgot it was down there, so we'll have to use that this year. But I'm filling up my all-purpose flour and gluten-free flour. Those are the two that I use the most. I made a label for the quick oats. This is like my ideal kind of activity when it comes to like homemaking and stuff. I just love getting things organized and stocked up. So I went downstairs and I had some flour and sugar that I could add to my things, and some gluten-free flour. I just use like a 1-for-1 flour. I find that to be the best. And I got some potatoes boiling for something. And then I had leftover rosé sauce, so I decided to make a pasta again. But I wanted to do like a pasta bake. So I have these, they're big, but like they're pretty shallow. So I thought I could make a little bake in there, and had a bunch of different cheese in the fridge that I thought would be good. So I had some matzo, but I also had a little bit of feta that I used, and then I have some of this parm. So I ended up boiling some pasta, adding the rest of the sauce, and then just kind of pouring it into the like casserole dishes, I guess. And this is the pasta that I used. And then I just added the cheese over it, and I thought it would be all ready to go for like later. I could just pop it in the oven for like not very long, and then just run it, like do like a broil at the very end, so the cheese would kind of get nice and toasty. So then I went upstairs to check on my little angel to see what she was up to. She usually sleeps like from around 8:30 or 9 until like 2 or 3 in the afternoon, usually like around when I'm taking my break. So we just had a little time together, and then it was dinner time, and I just was able to just pop those in the oven, which was really nice. And we were watching a movie that night. We were watching Joker because we planned on going to the theater the next day to see the sequel to that, but John ended up not feeling well, so we didn't end up doing that. But after the movie, you can see it's still light out, but I was really tired, so I was like, I'm just gonna go upstairs and like read or something. And of course, Marley followed me up because she loves this. It generally takes her a really long time to actually lay down, though. She just prances all over the bed and all over me, and she goes to my nightstand because she knows there's treats in there. It's like a whole ordeal with her, but finally she laid down, and then I realized that I think like I hadn't watched General Hospital that day. Usually that's what I do when I take my kind of like afternoon break around 2 to 3 o'clock, but lately I've just been not doing that. So that is what I ended up doing, as I can see from here. So I just ended up watching that before we went to bed. I love how every day begins and ends with Marley. It's a good way to begin and end the day. So I think, like, obviously this is the next day, but I was just working on more pieces. So I pretty much got all of them done except for the last piece. And like I said, John wasn't feeling well, so we didn't end up, like, doing what we were going to do, which we were going to do a bunch of other, like, thrifting and things because we have to drive, like, an hour to get to the theater. So I like didn't have any plans like for the house because I was planning on being out all day. So I decided to cut all of my plastic canvas into more tissue like patterns so that I would just already have them done. And I'm watching just watching a movie in here with Marley. I think this was Pal Joey. I could be wrong, but I did just recently watch that movie, and I can see Frank on the screen, so I'm guessing that's what it was. And then later in the day, John was feeling a little bit better, so we went downstairs and watched a movie. We watched Animal Farm, actually, which is like animated. And then after that was over, I think John was going to watch baseball, and I just stayed down there and kept on doing my little craft. And I was watching The Wiz because I can watch things from our cable box on my phone. The next day, John was feeling a little bit better, and I wanted to make more of the breakfast sausage patties. So we just had like a late kind of brunch, I guess. I made more of those patties, and John had his with like a tofu egg, but I just had mine with some tomato and no egg. That's actually what I used to always eat before. Like I would never get egg on my breakfast sandwich. But then I wanted to use up the rest of like the taco things I had. So I was doing that, and I was boiling more potatoes. But John had gone to the store on this day, like first thing in the morning, I think. Which is probably why we were having a late brunch, but he got more of the baking things that I had on the list. So I noticed that bags of coconut were on sale for $2, which is a pretty good price. So I ended up getting 3 because coconut seems to be the thing that I'm always out of when I go into the pantry to like when I'm baking something. It's always like, God, why am I always at a coconut? I don't even use it that much, but it's always the thing. So I figured I would start keeping a couple extra bags around, but we had used up the last of the tacos, and we were watching another creepy cinema, When a Stranger Calls, which I loved. I had never seen it before, but I loved it. And then as you can see, it's like only 8 something, but I'm ready for bed, and judging by Marley's position, she was ready too. So, but whenever I actually get in bed, she immediately gets up off the chair and jumps up on the bed, which is so cute. And then after, 20 minutes of prancing around, she finally settles down. I love when she lays like this or sits like this, kind of in like a cat loaf position, but she pulls her front paws in, like tucks them in. I just think it looks so cute. She's so tiny too. For like a full-grown cat, I would say she's probably only like maybe 2/3 the size of like a regular size cat. But it's very cute. She's a very, very sweet cat. She has like her moments, But, you know, she's old, so it's like, whatever. Whatever you want, I'll just give it to you at this point. So now we're at the last day of the Vlogtober. I almost said Vlogmas. Vlogtober week 2. So I'm taking some of those potatoes that I boiled, and I'm making this like fried potatoes. I fried them in butter with onion. So good. My dad used to make this all the time when I was growing up, and I don't make it very often. And actually, I don't remember the last time I made it before this, but it is like the coziest breakfast. I love it. Sometimes I add beans, but I didn't this time. But sometimes I add a little bit of shredded cheese. I'm having a little bit of orange juice, some coffee. John actually wasn't feeling the greatest on this morning, so he didn't want any. So I'm just eating these by myself on this day. But once the cheese sits for a little bit and you like mix it around, it gets a little bit melty. It's like the most comforting, cozy breakfast. So this was Monday, and this is actually Thanksgiving in Canada, but we don't actually celebrate Thanksgiving. But I did watch Garfield Thanksgiving, and I also watched Charlie Brown Thanksgiving. And then I sewed together all of the pieces of my tissue box. So I was just down in the basement hanging out, having like one of the coziest days of my like recent life. I don't know if it was like the breakfast, just being in the basement, just hanging out. It just felt so nice. I didn't have like anything that I needed to do that day really. So I just took full advantage of that, but it was hard to get that on one-handed, but yeah, I got that done. So, and then I decided after I watched those cartoons that I would give the Addams Family a watch. I usually like to watch that every Halloween season, so I did. And then John came downstairs. He was feeling a little better. He was like either watching baseball or playing baseball, and I decided to watch the sequel to the Addams Family on the smaller TV. And neither one of us, well, those potatoes are really filling, so I wasn't super hungry. I just decided to have some raw veggies and a dip while I was watching that. But anyway, yeah, that's it for week 2. I'm so happy that it's October and I'm just thinking about November and December. It's like my best life during the burr months. I also really like January too. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Now we're caught up on the vlogs, and I will see you again soon. I'm thinking on Sunday I'll have a thrift video. I'm not 100% sure because I am going thrifting on Saturday, I hope. So it'll be like I have to film it that day and then get it edited for the next day. But that's what I'm aiming for. If not, I'll figure out something else. But anyway, thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you again soon.